What's good, everybody? It's your boy Dakota. I've just done so many takes of this video. You have no idea, but I'm just here to tell you thank you so much for supporting the show. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel, leave this video a little like, leave it a little comment. If you're an audio person, leave me a little 5 stars, maybe leave me a little review. Whatever you can manage, it all means a lot and it all helps. And go ahead and check out all the links I got in the description to support both myself and whoever the guest is this week. I always try to make sure that I leave links in the description so that you can follow the fighters once the show is debuted. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Shit, man, I haven't done a slip and weave in so long. It's been, I don't think I've put one out since March. There's been so many other things going on, but I was like, it's not something I want to stop doing. And who better to bring on for my comeback episode for their fourth appearance on the Slip and Weave podcast? Super featherweight bare knuckle champion Harry Gigliotti. Harry,
Yes, sir. How are we, brother?
I'm doing fantastic,
It's
man.
been a fucking minute, my guy.
It's been a really long time. We have a lot to catch up on. I think the best place to start is the present, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
just had
Absolutely.
an absolute classic with Callum Skane. You're,
Yep.
you are the bare knuckle champion. You are the super featherweight bare knuckle champion.
I just got rated the pound for pound ninth rank too, as well. So
So a
that's
top
that's
10
something.
pound for pound
Yeah,
bare knuckle
top 10
fighter.
right now. Top 10 in the world.
Tell me a
So
little bit about what the last 2 years has been like for you, having really being like a full-time bare knuckle fighter, right? Because the last time we did a podcast together, it was, I think, maybe a week or two after you had the Michael
after
Hand
my
fight.
Gohan fight, and I was kind of iffy about getting into bare knuckle fighting. Remember, I was like, I
Right,
don't
you
know
had
if I'm
done the
gonna do it.
Triller thing. You had done the Triller
Yeah.
thing. You had stuck your toe in the water, but you were also telling me like, listen, I'm going to give this a try and see where it goes. And now here we are, 2 years later. You're the champion of the world. What has that journey been like, bro?
I mean, when I first got the call, it was originally Josh Oxendine. That was back in October. So 1 year ago today, I won the world title. Um, and then he had a fallout. Something happened with the promotion and him. I don't think he wanted to travel overseas. Something wasn't going to balance with his work. And then they even get me a tougher opponent. They go, listen, this kid was a silver medalist, Commonwealth champ, Joe Fitzpatrick. And I was like, yeah, let's just do it. I don't care at this point. Like, I got to test the waters. I've kind of climbed out of tough situations with Tiger Johnson, Bang Williams, and things like that, and competed at that top level. So I never wanted to say no to a fight. You know what I mean? But I knew that was going to be a tough fight. This kid had a lot of was a high caliber fighter that had uh, you know uh, uh, you know, you know, a huge history in the amateur boxing background. So I was like, he's got the pedigree. He's got a lot of that to back up. I didn't know what to really expect. I knew that was kind of my first real big like coming out fight for bare knuckle. I had Rusty Crowder who went to a split decision with BKFC's world champ. So I knew that I went 5 rounds with him. I got the 5 rounds, and I knew I could go the distance in any fight. But it's bare knuckle fighting. You really don't know what to expect, and you're in a trigon. You know what I mean? You're in this tight triangle. So the first right at the first bell, he came out like a bat out of hell, and he's throwing these overhands at me. He ended up tearing my ear open a little bit, and I was sick with pneumonia. So I'm like already kind of thinking like, I don't know if this is good. You know what I mean? And then I just happened to set up that liver shot, and it just everything from there is just spiraled out. And then I had the defense in Colorado against Sean Bernard, and now leading up 3-time world champ, I beat Callum Skane in July. So it's just been I don't even. It's just been like everything's kind of coming together right now, and it's just everything I've wanted so far in my career has happened, and now I'm just kind of reaping the benefits. I just got awarded the Jack McKelf Award That was back in the summertime. So the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame recognized me out in Belfast. I went out there and stuff, saw the museum and everything. And I saw my roots, John L. Selvin. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is
Yeah.
what the founding fathers. So it's like, I don't know. I'm watching everything come together. I never thought that my bare knuckle career would take this big of a turn right now. You know what I mean? In 2 years, but I mean, after the Mike Ohan fight, I was kind of even thinking about hanging it up and just being like, I'm done with fighting. I'm gonna go find my career and whatever. I did do the civil service exam with the fire department, and I'm on the list for that. But it's good to have backups. But I wasn't ready to hang it up yet, and now I'm
But
just
listen,
hard
bro,
work, dedication.
even back
Hard
then,
work,
2 years
dedication.
ago, you had kind of the vision for it, right? You were talking about, listen, there's kind of this new thing. It's not as established. I can
Exactly.
stay in a certain level of fight in boxing and maybe not have some of the political advantages or the
Right.
promotional advantages and be already coming in with things not on my side. But there's this other thing where maybe I could stand out because it's guys coming from different
I could be
backgrounds.
the biggest face in the promotion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
You
that's what
had
I
that
kind of
vision even
wanted.
back then.
It's crazy to have. We had that conversation about how I thought I could maybe be the face of bare knuckle fighting, and now I'm showing the roots. You know what I mean? I mean, John O'Sullivan's from Boston. You know what I mean? I'm 40 minutes out from Boston, so it's like I'm representing something bigger in my world of fighting. This is everything I kind of needed. You know what I mean? To kind of reignite that fire under my ass and kind of give me that flow again. And I mean, bare knuckle fighting's done that for me. So it's just I don't know. This is where I belong, I think, and it's kind of my sport. It's my style. And I mean, I did so good in the triad back in the day. So no difference. Obviously, we talked about how there was a bit of a commercial rights with the Trigon Triad and stuff like that, and how they got sued and stuff. And now our CEO is actually the one who ran Triller Fight Club. So we got David Tetro as our CEO. So we got a lot of money coming in right now. We got a lot of new faces in the sport. We bought in with BKB, so we have Europe over there. So the originators, BKB, Jimmy and them, Jimmy Freeman and those guys are now with us. So we got all of Europe and we got all of the United States and Canada and just all pretty much all over right now. So it's I mean it's growing. It's a fast growing sport and you're
And you
seeing it
were
right now.
part of that growth, Harry, because it
I'm
was
the first
relatively.
super lightweight world champ inaugurated. I
Yeah.
inaugurated the first belt. So I mean, I'm a piece of history, you know what I mean, in combat sports. And I mean, what's better than the first ever, combat sports belt ever in the history of fighting? So this is one of the oldest sentiments right here. This is what you want right here. You know what I mean? This is, everything I've kind of visioned. So it's unreal to see. And don't get me wrong. I believe I could still be a standout in boxing. I think there's a lot of guys in New England I could beat, and there's guys I still keep my eye on. You know what I mean? Just in case. But right now, I think this is where I should be. You know what I mean? This is where until I see like some money or something like that comes up, and someone in boxing's like, all right, we can make a money fight out of this. Then I'm kind of I'm gonna stay away from there. I'm gonna steer this path and stay on this path. You know what I mean?
So let's get into the Skane fight for a minute, right? That was a brutal fight. And to be honest, he was boxing really nice that first round
Smooth.
and a half, maybe round and 2 minutes.
I mean,
He was keeping his
listen,
range.
Dakota had heavy pedigree. I mean, 75
Yep.
amateur wins, 15 amateur losses. Kid's seen, every bit of talent over in Europe, Ireland, Wales, and Britain. It's just that was I'm not gonna lie, out of all the fights I've had in my boxing and my pro career, that whole camp I had felt that gut feeling. You know what I mean? Like that, well, this is gonna be different. You know what I mean? This is gonna be a different fight. But I never steer away from the confidence of just being like, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna fight my style. I'm gonna fight my fight. And I could see that he was kind of boxing off that back foot and pop shotting. I didn't respect his power. I didn't respect anything really early on. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna start taking more risks now. We're gonna start going to that body, and we're gonna start trying to go back up top. And I mean, we always know how my jab works. My jab is my bread and butter. We've talked about that. I started Dude, I don't know what it is, but there's something about bare knuckle with the jab, and it lands different. There's no cushion to really
Yeah.
protect it. So where people don't really respect my jab in boxing, or where they do respect it, but they're like, okay, like it's not gonna bust me up. I can take some risks to hit him with something bigger. In bare knuckle, it's like you get hit with one of those instant splat. You know what I mean? Instant battering, instant surface damage. So it's like I knew right off the rip when I landed that first jab at the end of the first round, when I saw like the damage and what it was doing. I saw him blinking. His eye was kind of twitching and blinking. I was like, all right, we're getting somewhere now. But the boxing pedigree is what kind of made me the most nervous in that fight. It wasn't even about being knocked out. I don't think I can ever. I don't believe I'm someone that can get knocked out. You know what I mean? And as I should keep my head like that. I think it's mind over matter. I think most people. I've said this to you. I think most people kind of take the knee and they go, I don't want to be here anymore. I've never felt that in a fight, even with Tiger. I mean, there was points in the fight where I thought my orbital was broken, my nose was definitely broken, and I was turning away, and I was definitely in fucking pain. But I was never once like, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm throwing the towel in. I'm still gonna go out swinging no matter what. But it's something about that Callum Skane fight, that whole camp. I had felt, that pre-fight nerves, the pre-fight, just premeditating and seeing it, and then it went exactly how I didn't know how to really expect, but that's what I wanted. The body shot, start to break them
Right.
down and then start to kind of figure them out and deteriorate at the body and then go back to the head. But, I saw it. I saw it in his eyes. I landed a couple inside liver shots, and I saw him like wince up, and I was like, all right, now I'm starting to kind of break him down. Then I caught him off that left side right to the liver. He went down, and I knew the tide was turning at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the next round, my coach was like, we got to get on him now. I'm like, no, dude, he's gonna get fucking dangerous. He's gonna start getting dangerous. You know what I mean? He's gonna start trying to get desperate and start throwing bigger shots. So I went back to my jab. I just started kind of jabbing, playing with them. I started taunting a little bit, showboating, and I could see it in his eyes. The eyes were changing. It wasn't that really. He wasn't feeling the adrenaline anymore. It was more of, okay, I'm fighting to survive. And I was like, okay,
And
this is
it seemed
where.
like that switch flipped really quickly, especially at the end of the second, where he's boxing nice, and then you could just see his face kind of fell apart, and the
Well,
physicality of the fight.
I hit him with a good jab when he was kind of circling. Listen, in a four square you can circle really well. In a triangle, it's pretty hard to keep that same momentum
Right.
off that back foot.
Right.
He was getting caught in those corners, and that's where I would lunge and hit him with the jab. You know what I mean? And like, listen, and a lunge jab in boxing, you get caught normally. And this, you can take that risk. You know what I mean? You land that,
Right.
and it's heavy, it's hard. You're off that front foot, and you land it. And I know how to fucking jab, so it's like I'm gonna take this risk right here, right now, when he gets caught in this corner. And he was kind of circling in that same direction, kind of angling the same way. So I was like, okay, I don't even really need to fully cut it off. I just need to kind of chase him down enough where when he gets stuck in that little fucking tight end, I'm just going to step in with the jab. That's where it landed. I saw the eye instantly start fucking
Yeah.
watering. He started wincing and stuff. Did you watch the fight?
Of course.
Unbelievable, right?
Come on, dude. Of course I fucking
Crazy.
watched. The thing that I enjoyed about it so much too, Harry, is like I feel like 5, 6 years ago when bare knuckle was first coming out, there weren't a lot of boxing guys that were doing it. It was a lot more MMA guys
Well,
and fights.
Ishii Smith, you were the one who told me, and
Right.
Ishii shared the Contender season one with my cousin Jeffrey. I was
He
like,
was one of the
Ishii
first
Smith
ones.
was a pioneer in the sport,
Yeah.
yeah, and
But at the
he doesn't
beginning,
get
it
a
was a lot of MMA guys, and a lot of times the fights looked a little sloppier. There was more
yeah,
clinching and shoving
yeah,
around. And you guys had this beautiful, clean fight where I was like, oh wow,
very technical.
they're really refining what this thing is. Like you
It's
guys are doing that.
it's the evolution of bare knuckle fighting, and I think me and Callum Skane put that on, on the full panel where it should be. You know what I mean? I think we gave everybody the right idea. We put it on full display, and that's what kind of where I wanted it to be. I wanted people to see that it's not just an ugly street fight. This is technical boxing with bare hands. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
the first ever. It's the most barbaric gladiator sport I think around, but it's the first ever sport. This is where it started. You know what I mean? This is why we have boxing, why we have MMA, bare knuckle fighting. It started it all. And Paulie Malignaggi, by the way, is fighting Saturday.
What do you think of that? Because when that I heard that get announced, I was like, on one hand, I think there's probably some things that you guys, and particularly Paulie, with all of his experience, right? He's been 12 rounds a million times. So there's the fact that it's gonna be a shorter fight. But man,
Yeah.
he's always had fucked up hands. He's an older guy. It's been a long time. Like, do you think it's like more doable because of his boxing experience, or do you think it's, maybe he's biting off more than he can chew, which I think
So
is
with
the
the
the worry.
so in a circle when he fought Artem Lobov, that was with BKFC. I thought he didn't fight the right fight. He tried to stay in circle motion, pop shot. Listen, like I said, fighting off your back foot, pop shotting, stuff like that. Great in boxing. You're playing technical sport. You're going to carry out the pace, and you're going to kind of weigh out the rounds. And this bare knuckle fight, you got 5 3-minute rounds, and it's kind of just go go go. You got to after that first round, you kind of got already got to be where you want to be. You know what I mean? You got to
Right.
have everything set. You got to have a game plan set up. I think Paulie is smart enough to set up a good boxing strategy, and box a good clinic. But Tyler Goodjohn's been in the bare knuckle game for a really long time. Plus, he was an Olympic trialist back in the day, I think for Scotland. I'm almost positive it was Scotland. So this guy's been in the game. He knows how to, he has ring generalship. I think with the bare knuckle experience of Tyler Goodjohn and Paulie trying to kind of masterclass box, it's going to be a good collision of who's going to land first, but I think Tyler Goodjohn's going to do more damage. I think it's just going to be more of a grab hit, and Paulie's not going to like that as much. Paulie's going to land something early and make Tyler respect it. Good enough where it's like jab and then hit him with the right hand, where Tyler's like, whoa, I don't like that. You know what I mean? If he doesn't respect it, Tyler's going to be on him all night. I'm not saying Paulie isn't durable, but you saw in his last fights, he's been cut up when he fought Artem Lobov and stuff like
Yep.
that. So
Well, and
I
he's got a
I
career. He's got a career of hand injuries, and I know
breaking hands and stuff.
that's what I'm
He
saying.
actually, dude, I asked him because I like Paulie a lot. Me and Paulie connect a lot after the fights. Like I said, he had kind of had a beef with my cousin Jeffrey back in the day. They just grew up in that same era. But I've always kind of looked up to Paulie, great masterclass boxer that kind of had a great boxing style, fighting off that back foot. I like to fight off the back foot a little bit. You know what I mean? Um, but I told him you gotta kind of bring it a little bit more. And this isn't just and I told him I wanted to go. I almost went out to Miami. I was like, dude, I'll work with you in camp. I wanted to help him because who's better than I'm one of the best in the world. I know this sport. You know what I mean? I've learned also, by the way, because I broke my hand when I fought Joe Fitzpatrick, when I squeezed down and ripped the shots. You got to fight more cupped. You know what I mean? You got to have more of a cupping here. You can
Interesting.
parry and you got to shoot. You can't play high defensive guard. This is how you get. There's no padding. You can't really play
Right.
this catch and cover game. You got to catch and then shoot. It's got to be very fast paced, and you got to be out. Check lefts are the best. I think when you're in a tough situation, of someone coming forward at you, check left, get the fuck out. Don't stay there. Because if you're gonna go play here, right here, and sit on the ropes, yes, dude, it's easy to sneak these hands in. You know what I mean? So I don't want I don't want to see Paulie fight a boxing match. I want him to try and be more out here and try to establish more of that. What I told him, it's a bare knuckle fight. Establish your boxing, but fight like a bare knuckle fighter. You know what I mean? Like I think Paulie's got enough people around him where he's had a good camp, and they're kind of focusing on the style of bare knuckle fighting. But something tells me he'll get caught and go back home to boxing, and that's just a traditional thing to do. You know what I mean? You get caught, and your instinct is
Right. It's in
okay.
his body.
I need to be here now. You know what I mean? I have to play this. That's not what he wants to do. He needs to breathe and play smart. Touch, shoot, break them down, but you gotta establish it early. You know what I mean? Put it all together and see what you can do in the early rounds. And the later rounds, I think that's where he can start putting those combinations together. But it's gonna be. I'm tuning in. Obviously, I'm tuning in. Paulie's my guy. I'm rooting for Paulie. The Paisan American. You know what I mean? I got it in me as well.
I'm
So
rooting for him so hard, man. I'm sure I've told you this before. I can't remember though. The first fight I ever went to in my life was Miguel Cotto and Paulie Malignaggi. Um,
yeah,
One thing I'd love to know from you, because I know that there are differences. You talked about some of the differences in the sport itself, but what
Yeah.
were some of the things that you brought from gloved boxing that you felt like were an advantage for you? And then what were some of the things that you kind of had to unlearn or create a new mindset around in terms of your strategy?
Like I just said, and I'm gonna retrace back to that. I thought, in the fights where you can kind of fight that tight high guard, I did it with Joe Fitzpatrick a little bit, and I got caught a couple times where I was like, oh, I can't be fighting here. I got to be right out here. You know what I mean? I can't be fighting that
Right.
high tight guard. Um, where in boxing, I could play that kind of roll, like play that padding, catch, shoot defense. Um, it's so different. It's not even the same. They're polar different sports. I mean, obviously, there's a fraction of boxing you have to bring into bare knuckle fighting, especially if you want to have a longevity in the sport, which that's kind of where I'm going at right now. Is I don't want to play these gunfights. You know what I mean? I want to be
Yeah.
technical wizard, play smart boxing, and I'm mixing it up now. I'm starting to work with Randy Costa, who's in BKFC, was fought in the UFC, and we're starting to work on grab hit. You know what I mean? Working clinch
Right.
grab hit, but I'm not grabbing you, and then we're staying here all night. I'm just grabbing you to hit you once, dirty box, get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to play. I don't want to play dig in my head and tie fighting. You know what I mean? Um, it's different. It's a different
Yeah.
sport. It's completely. Everybody asks me, they're like, "Is it boxing?" Yeah, it is boxing, but it's dirty boxing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's more of an establishment of, okay, we can fight dirty in the clinch, and I'm gonna grab your fucking neck, put my weight on you, and I'm gonna rip uppercuts on you. And boxing, the ref
Yeah.
will be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like one of the advantages you have when I've watched you is your upper body movement, where I think a lot of times the guys are not used to like completely shooting at air and completely missing. And I think it gets them more tired. Like you could see a couple of your fights where these guys, they swing so hard and they whiff. And you,
Heavy.
yeah, and you could see how much it takes out of them. And a lot of times you're right. Guys are kind of standing here catching, but they're giving you something to land on still.
I mean, it's direct. How I look at it is if you're coming forward off a front foot, like whether you're lunging in with the right hand and I'm slipping back, I can just touch you with my jab, and then I know, okay, I'm touching you with my jab. What's going to come next? I'm landing straight down the pipe with my right hand. Going to come over with the left hook. So maybe if I don't hit you with my right hand, or if I touch you with my right hand, I'm still coming back heavy. It's that bang still. Where boxing, you can kind of shoe shine, heavy bang. It's the punch you don't see. That's the one that's really going to fuck everybody up. Um, I'm still playing that in bare knuckle fighting. You know what I mean? With the Joe Fitzpatrick fight, I saw him go tight envelope, and I knew. I said, okay, listen, this is
Right.
exactly where I want him. He's sitting on the ropes. He's tight envelope. I went up the middle with the uppercut. Wasn't heavy. It was just a touch. Then I touched him on the head. Then I saw him get a little tighter. And I saw it. I saw that lever open up. I said, that's what I wanted.
Right.
Okay. You can see my eyes in the videos in the shorts that they put up, and you can see my eyes looking right at his body. I was waiting for him to go a little tighter just to set it up. And I mean, that was it. And it's different. There's difference. I could feel the dig of like actually like digging my knuckles into his organs. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we're in a boxing match, you're like, did it land? Did it land? Did the cushion too much cushion on the gloves not let my knuckles dig? You know what I mean? So I almost knew it was over right from then and there. Even with Callum Skane, when I dipped and shot to the solar plex, you can feel the there's no cushion, so it's just bone to bone or bone to muscle or bone to just stomach, and I could feel it just dig, and I saw that. I heard that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, right out of his mouth, and I was like, he's not getting. There's no way he's getting up after that. And I saw him fucking opening his waist. He opened his waistband. I was like, oh, he's fucking hurting now. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like he's feeling it. Um, Boxing gives you a more defensive side and a more protection. So if you get hit with a liver shot, it's not always flush. It's, you get that padded leather that's hitting it. It's
Half
not
an
even fully
elbow in there.
you know
Right.
what I mean? So where in bare knuckle you reach around and you land it on that mark, it's good night. It's done. It's over. You know what I mean? So I think bare knuckle. I mean, boxing. I always kind of had that. I always still had the traditional style of being able to break you down and go to the body. But I never had the full power. I don't think, and the full rhythm to knock someone out. You know what I mean? Where in bare
Right.
knuckle, I can do that. It's just they're different sports. I mean,
Yeah.
the science behind it is just different. Um, I hope Paulie doesn't fight a boxing match. I hope he actually tries to mix in that bare knuckle aspect to it, where okay, you can take more risk, Paulie. I know you're worried about your hands. Worry about it later. Like you got to take a risk here, all right? Or you're gonna get jumped on. It's just how it is. There needs to be a respect factor too. So with Callum, when I thought that he was just gonna pop shot the whole fight, I said, okay, I'm gonna take risks now because this is that we're
Right.
not getting anywhere off just trying to box this kid. This kid's moving nice and he's boxing a clinic. Now I'm gonna start figuring him out. So I started kind of playing that game, and Claudia even said she was like, I see a lot of nervous energy in Gigliotti. It's like, no, dude, I'm drunken master. I'm moving my legs. I'm trying to get loose. I'm waddling. I'm trying to make him fight my fight. And I could tell when I started doing the waddle, like the little waddle up and down, playing that game, I could see in his eyes. He's like, I never seen that before. It's like, yeah, this is American. This is the drunken master now. I'm playing a little bit more. I'm making you fucking confused. You're trying to see
Yeah.
what the fuck I'm doing with my legs. You're watching me up and down. I could see him trying to scan me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Why is he doing that? And then I was like, all right, now I can shoot 90s and I can start jabbing off that. You know what I mean? And so where Claudia, that's where I was a little confused why when I watched it, I was like, Claudia, you watch boxing. You know that like you've seen Jaron Ennis do stuff with his legs. You've seen a lot of those guys kind of maneuver with their legs. I was just trying to give him a different look. I wanted him to see something, sort of scan me and make him think because then he's going to be more wary of taking risk. You know what I mean? And fighting off that back foot and trying to give me a boxing clinic. Now he's going to be more hesitant and staying more here.
Right.
And that's where I wanted him. I wanted to slow him down a little bit. You know what I mean? Make him think a little bit. So
Forgive me if this is a ignorant or a dumb question, but how do you spar for these fights? Like how do you prep in the gym for because already you're risking your hands, so you got to be careful in the gym, but maybe having a gloved boxing spar doesn't necessarily prepare you. So what are the things you've had to change in your preparation?
dude, I've done complete boxing camps with Johnny DePina. I mean, I had Michelle Rivera in one of my camps last summer. Um, Kevin Walsh. I worked with Kevin Walsh a little bit before the John Bernard fight. Gabby Morales, obviously. Gabby's perfect work. He likes to work inside. Has a lot of shoe shine skills. Um, going to the body, going back to the head. I'm just boxing right now, but I did mix in Randy Costa and Slippery Pete, which they both fought in the UFC, and Randy started going over, grabbing and digging his head and kind of working using your crown a little bit. So we've been changing that up a little bit. I've been kind of working more of the tie plum clinching and stuff like that. But when I'm sparring with the peanut, it's just boxing. It's angles, boxing, and traditional with 16-ounce gloves. I'm not really changing much. You know what I mean? Um, I think boxing wins most of these fights, just traditional boxing. But obviously, you get in situations where you have to dogfight. Like with John Bernard,
Right.
it was a dogfight. I kind of had to fight dirty boxing and switch it up. Which him being on my neck all night, I couldn't even turn my fucking head after. You know what I mean? I'm not used to that. But I think instincts kick in. You know what I mean? Where I was like, all right, if he's gonna fucking hang on my neck, I'm just gonna start ripping to his body. Which I was doing that.
Right.
I could see him like wincing on that, and then I would just come back up top, and that would kind of back him off. You know what I mean?
So
All
you're
right, now I'm gonna
using camp as a way to maintain your boxing skills, but just changing your fight night approach,
changing the
essentially.
fight night approach more as yes, yeah. But I have done a little bit of studying with the Thai plums and stuff like that. Like dude, I and that's not ignorant by the way. That's an actually really good question. I have a lot of people ask me how's the preparation for this? Like, is it the
Yeah.
same as what you do? Yeah, it is pretty similar. You know what I mean? There's not much of a difference. It's just I think that you have to install a little bit of who you are as a boxer, and you have to mix it up a little bit. So I got that, like I said, Randy Costa showing me a little bit of using your crown and stuff like that. Which who's to say, like, dude? To be honest with you, when that bell rings, the adrenaline's going. I'm not gonna fucking think about Thai plumbing and using my crown and stuff like
Right.
that. But at least I know instinctive. back of my mind, I worked on this. Oh, wait a second. Me and Randy worked on this. Now I'll dig and I'll fucking work at least, a couple combinations inside on the dirty boxing. And then I'm going to try and get back out. You know what I mean? I'm going to work that distance again. But there's not much of a difference besides the fact that you got to be prepared to fight dirty inside the clinch. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Um, it's it's different though. It is different, I should say. It is actually it's one of the craziest sports I've ever done in my life in combat sports wise. You know what I mean? Like I never thought like I fought Tiger Johnson. You know what I mean? I thought that would be an adrenaline rush and a half, a roller coaster, and it was exactly what I mean. The kid was a technician, but this is 10 times something about it is 10 times scarier, and it's not even at the same level of who Tiger Johnson is. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just the feeling of like, okay, we're going in here with bare knuckles. There's not much like it changes the whole dynamic when you get hit with a bare hand. You know what I mean? So it's
And
just
I'm sure there's some difference in the sense that because when you have gloves and wraps on, you can really sit down on your shots and throw them harder. But when you're not
for
gloved up,
sure.
it's more of an accuracy game. But like, how's your body holding up? How's your hands holding up to this? Is there a difference in
Dude,
terms of
no injuries. I have no injuries. I
unbelievable?
have all right. So I have a little bit of when I press on my orbital here, I get a little bit of I can feel the nerve damage in my tooth. I did get hit in the front tooth right here by John Bernard in the first round, and I thought that my tooth was in the back. You're gonna like this one. So the bell rings, and we're boxing and stuff, and I'm like, I think it's gonna be a slow first round. Dude, instantly hits me with an overhand. I feel the shock I've never felt in my life. Like bone to fucking tooth. I thought my tooth was in the back of my throat. So the fight, the round ends, and I'm spitting blood. I can taste blood. And I'm going, it's gone, it's gone. And my best friend Kyle is in my corner. He goes, "You're done? You're done?" And I'm like, "No, my fucking tooth is gone." He's like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, I couldn't feel it with my tongue though. I was like,
Right.
you're trying to like, all I can taste is wads of blood. So I'm spitting blood out. And it's just, dude, it's the most barbaric thing I've ever. But it's who I am. It suits who I am. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it really. I think what a really big part of it is can you withstand the pain? Like, can you withstand? Where in boxing, a lot of boxers are divas. I don't think a lot of natural boxers could do this. Like, I think they'd get caught and go, "Oh, fuck that." You know what I mean? There's there's like a
Mhm.
real pain complex to this. Like, all right, I'm going to be able to withstand a little bit of this pain this round, and then he's going to tire out, and I'm going to put a lot more pain on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how kind of the John Bernard fight kind of went for me. It was this who's going to be able to plateau and withstand the pain more. You know what I mean? Because we were both
Yeah.
fucking hit, and John was. I never thought that he. I mean, I know that he trained with like Max Holloway and stuff like that, and was had a lot of good training back when he was a kid. But I didn't think he'd have that flow rhythm, like left to right motion and traditional boxing. I was wicked thrown off by it. I didn't even take him that serious that camp. I mean, I did. Obviously, I'm taking him serious, but I didn't think it was gonna be. I didn't think he would have that same momentum and be able to give the same drive that I was giving. You know what I mean? So it was like that was the toughest fight I've ever had in my life. John Bernard, hands down. Bang Williams, John Bernard, two of the hardest hitting guys I've ever fought in my entire life. Literally, like insane the amount of power. Bang, I think was obviously more of a technician, but John was just all grit and dog, and it was just to put him away in the fourth. I was like, wow, man, it was just the most surreal moment in my life. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
For some of the traditional boxing fans, right, that generally watch my show and have probably seen you on this show before, who are
Right.
some of the boxing faces and boxing stars that they might be familiar with that are doing well in the sport? And just in general, who are some of the other stars that people should be aware of?
I mean, Austin Trout, obviously. Austin Trout's a world champ at BKFC. Um, I heard Kenzie Morrison's doing it now. I don't know. I think he's done one or two fights. But Kenzie Morrison's, he's made kind of a limelight off his dad, not off his dad's name. I don't want to say. I like Kenzie. He's a good fighter. Not his father. He's not his father. I'll say it like that. But I think he could be a. I think he'll be a world champion bare knuckle. I think this suits him. You know what I mean? Like his father had some great pedigree and was a great fighter and you know fought everybody pretty much in the heavyweight division. So I don't think Kenzie, where he could have been a world champion in boxing, I think he'll be a bare. I think he'll be a bare knuckle world champ at some point. You know what I mean? I um, I think he's got that a lot more pedigree than a lot more of these guys, and has a lot more of that talent to be where he's going to be soon. So I mean, Austin Trout, I kind of saw that from a mile away. You know, I knew that he pops shots, moves, he moves nice, but like I said, it also transitions over to can he withstand the pain? Can he withstand,
Right.
the difficulty of the clinching and stuff like that? And I mean, Austin Trout's done great. He fought Lewis Baboon and beat the bag out of him, boxed him. They're gonna fight again soon. Um, but I don't really know. Like Paulie Malignaggi didn't really transition good when he fought harder. You know what I mean? It didn't really. So it's tough to tell. I think I'm the best. I'm one of the best boxers I've ever seen transition over to bare knuckle in my eyes. And I'm not even trying to be biased. Like I just think that I had a good run from boxing, but I had a better run in bare knuckle, and it just kind of suited where I wanted to be. And putting my jab together, putting the body shots together, kind of learning. All right,
Right.
these shots are going to land a lot more flush and a lot more heavy. Where in boxing it didn't really work my style.
I also think
It didn't
something that
suit
you
me.
did that was very smart. A lot of these older fighters, right? It's older guys that have already had a career that are like, maybe I can get one more shekel out of some bare
Well,
knuckle.
Jamal Herring actually, my matter of fact, he
Right.
hasn't done it yet, but Jamal Herring's coming over too. I heard.
It's a perfect
Yeah,
example. Whereas you took the risk on yourself as a guy in your prime and said, I'm going to try this new thing. You know what I mean? So you're getting to
yeah.
do it in your late 20s into your early 30s. Whereas guys like Paulie, who are coming to it at 45 years old, it's just a whole different thing. You're not just getting yourself back in shape, you're getting yourself back in shape and you're doing something you've never done before.
Bare knuckle fighting. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he wants to go for a world title. He signed a 4-fight deal. I heard that he wants to go for it. So, I mean,
He
even
signed
I,
a 4 fight deal.
he signed a 4-fight deal. Tyler Goodjohn's retiring after this fight, win or lose. He said he's done.
Right.
And this guy's done, boxing his whole life and came into bare knuckle when it was kind of the rise of BKB and stuff like that. Where Paulie, like, okay, BKFC kind of started blowing up because of Paulie Malignaggi. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Some would say people wouldn't even know what BKFC was until Paulie came in and fought Artem. So it kind of, I think this will spark the right limelight because we have obviously that's our enemy, not our enemy, but that's not, we're not working with them. BKFC is against us really. So I hope Paulie kind of brings a new limelight to fighting in this Trigon this Saturday and brings a whole new fan base and new eyes. I mean, I think this sport deserves a lot more of a look. You know what I mean? I think that there's a lot more of an evolution growing into it with guys like
Yeah.
me that are coming on board and Callum Skane and even Joe Fitzpatrick. You got guys that had boxing Commonwealth games, Golden Gloves. I came over from fighting, at that New England stage to this, and I'm at the world stage now. I don't know. It's just a big transition, but I don't think a lot of guys could just come into bare knuckle and be like, I'm gonna do what Harry's doing and do it at the same level that I'm doing it at. I think it takes a lot of dog. I think it takes a lot of commitment. Um, you got to be able to switch it up, and you got to be able to maintain. And it's not. This is not boxing, like I said. It's bare knuckle fighting. There is a boxing aspect to it, and you should be good at boxing, or you're gonna have a short career. But you got to be able to dig deep at times, and it's not easy. It's very difficult to be able to go head to head with another man and carve each other up. You know what I mean? So it's different.
What do you think for Paulie? Like, what do you think is his why? Like, he did so much already in his career. He's
I
already one
heard
of the most
I I
well-respected commentators
I
going.
asked him. He wants a world title in bare knuckle fighting.
So you
He
think it's just being a
I
competitor.
I'm not. I got conspiracy that he did. He saw me do it. It's like if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
This
I
Paisan
don't want to
can,
say, yeah, if this Paisan can. I'm gonna have this conversation with him next time I see him. Like, did I spark a little fire on you? Like, what? Like, but when I saw him in England, because I was going through it, dude. I was going through a time change. I'm fucking exhausted. I had to go and talk sports. I don't know if you ever heard of talk sports.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
It's the ESPN. I'm going on the. We went to the talk sports fucking this giant building in London. We're at the we're getting it like fucking go through. And he's like, dude, are you all right? Like Paulie asked me, he's like, you all right? I'm like, I'm not fucking all right. No, dude, I'm about to go fucking about to go to war with Callum Skane. I just traveled over the ocean and fucking I haven't slept all night. You know what I mean? I'm going on
Yeah.
this talk fucking show. So like you could see it, I think, and I'm like, dude, it's a different kind of nerves. It's like a boxing match, you're like, okay, like the worst that happens, I think, if you're a really, really good boxer, is I get outclassed. And bare knuckle, it's like if I don't fucking perform, I'm gonna get fucked. I'm gonna be really fucked up after this. Like my face is
Yeah.
gonna be mashed potatoes. So the preparation for a boxing match mentally isn't as crazy as a preparation for like a bare knuckle fight. Like I've never felt the way I feel when I'm like leading up to a fight in bare knuckle. I'm like, oh man,
You have
this
to
is.
go to one level deeper, kind of.
It's just like you gotta really focus. Like I gotta fight my best fight. Like this could be my last fight if I don't do what I need to do. You know what I mean? So it's like one slip up, one little measurement isn't correct, and I'm losing my eyebrow. You know what I mean? Completely.
Yeah.
So it's like I hope Paulie I hope Paulie doesn't just make this a boxing match. I hope he mixes it up. I mean, I want him to obviously be able to break him down, touch, move, but don't just think that he can travel off the back foot and kind of pop shot and find range the whole time. Like you're gonna have to grab and hit a little
On
bit. And
some level, you have to hold your ground.
you're gonna have to be a dog. It's
Yeah.
just gonna happen. So, you know, I'm gonna shoot a message to him obviously when on fight day and be like, listen, fight your fight, but mix it up and don't be afraid to get dirty in there. Like it's just Mike Perry, I think, has been one of the greatest at that. You know what I mean? Mixing up. I mean, I don't think he has any boxing IQ. I mean, he lost to Jake Paul. Clearly, not. It's not that the boxing is not his sport, but bare knuckle fighting is what he's good at. Grabbing, hitting, and making it raw. Someone like Mike on you the whole fight, and you're hitting him and you're breaking his nose, and his nose is going left and right, and you can't fucking stop him. That starts to make a man go, whoa, wait a second here. What the fuck? Like, I'm hitting this man with everything and the fucking bowl of rice, and this guy's not going out. What the fuck? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a mental aspect to it. And Tyler Goodjohn has had his ear split from fucking here all the way down. Like you could fucking peel it in half.
God,
And the
what was
guy,
that one fight way back in the day? I think it was
it was against Louis Pabon,
no, no, no. I'm
the
talking old
baboon, the
school.
baboon.
I'm talking old school. It was a gloved. I think it was Antonio Margarito and Sebastian Lujan, and it was the first time something happened in a clinch. There was an elbow that got in the mix or whatever, and Lujan came up, and his shit was straight
Air was
dangling.
gone.
His shit was
Yeah,
dangling,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
It was like I had to watch it with fucking one eye.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm not lying. My ear after the Joe Fitzpatrick fight, I could fold it a little bit right here, like it was
God
like a little
damn.
split. And I was like, well, because if you see in the fight, if you ever play it back, when we kind of fall down, I grab my ear and then he catches me off an overhand while I'm like kind of playing with my ear. But all I could feel in my ear was, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, what the fuck is going on, dude? And then he catches me with an overhand. I see in a flash. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck, dude? This is
Yeah.
not what I want right now. You know what I mean? And then, I'm like circling around, and this fucking behemoth of an Irishman's fucking hitting me with everything in the basket. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck, dude? Then I could see him like breathing from his mouth guard. I was like, all right, now I got him a little
Right.
chilled. He's kind of adrenaline dumped. Um, that fight was just. I think Joe Fitzpatrick was one of the harder hitting men that I've fought too. You know what I mean? Like early on, but I knew that he couldn't go the pace that he wanted to set early on like that. You know what I mean? So I knew that I could take the pain. I knew it was gonna suck, and I was like, the whole time in the back of my head, is like, I really don't want to fucking leave this fight all mangled. You know what I mean? Like, but I could see it. I kind of thought it was gonna go into like the next 2 or 3 rounds, and we were both just gonna be caved up. You know what I mean? But then I land that body shot, and I'm like, all right, never mind. I got out of this one unscathed. So it's like, I don't know. I thought Callum was gonna be. I thought we were gonna both be really, really fucked up after that one too. But You know, I've learned that if you can box and move and play good defensive rolling, which I can roll really well, I'm good at using my shoulder rolling and stuff. That plays a good role in the defensive side of bare knuckle fighting, where like I'll roll and like take it off the side of my head rather than take it flush off the cheekbone or off the eyelid. You know what I mean, or anything
Right.
like that. Which
Or
that
taking it
fuck
moving away as opposed to taking it square on.
rolling off the knuckles. You know what I mean? I guess you could say rather than just boom hitting that
Yeah.
fucking flush. Where a lot of these guys are stiff, very stiff, like planked, and it's like okay, jab, boom, and I watch that fucking pop shot, and then I can just see the face change, the surface
Yeah.
damage, and you're like, all right, we're getting somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think my jab alone is one of the best I've seen in bare knuckle fighting. I've watched a lot of different styles, a lot of different fighters. Bryce Henry, he's a good amateur. I don't know if you ever looked into Bryce Henry. He trains out of Broward County out in the Miami area. Really good amateur, very decent amateur, but very good at bare knuckle fighting. Very very good. He fights a very traditional boxing style, and he works that jab. And when he lands it, you can tell people are like, "Oh, what the fuck? I don't like that." Howard Davis, very good at jabbing and stuff like that, playing that boxing style. Um, so we're gonna see more evolution of bare knuckle fighting, and I think as boxers kind of transition over, we're gonna see more technical fights, not just a brawl like between two people clashing. You know what I mean? Um, I used to say it like this: it was two trailer track park guys just banging it out, and now it's like you got smart people that
It's really
are
been
understanding.
classed up a little bit. It really
Yeah,
has.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You got exactly. It's becoming a classier sport. I
Yeah.
mean, DraftKings. You got FanDuel. You got BetOnline AG. You got all these fucking betting lines and stuff. It's officiated. You know what I mean? It's becoming an officiated sport, and with rankings, names, you're going to be starting seeing more names. I think more recognizable names. Like I said, Jamel Herring's coming over. So the evolution of bare knuckle fighting in just the last 2 to 3 years has been. I mean, it's been insane. I think the sky is the limit. I think it's going to go to the moon. I really do. I think I'm never going to say it's going to beat boxing and I don't think it will ever beat UFC or MMA. MMA is just it's so formulated. You know what I mean? Like the UFC is I think the most dominant right now out of promotion wise. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I think Dana's taken over with the boxing too. I think sooner or later we'll see more of that too. I think that it's going to come down to who wants to promote this. You know what I mean? And I hope that BKFC and BKB can come to kind of an agreement where it's like, let's do a tournament or something. But the thing is, like, what are we going to fight in? You want to fight in the trigon, or are we going to fight in a circle? You know what I mean? That's the difference between the promotions. Is we fight in the triangle,
Yeah.
you guys fight in the
Slightly different
circle.
set of rules.
So it's I don't know. It's still evolving. I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, we could go halfway and meet in a regular fucking boxing ring. You know what I mean? But
So what is like the organizational structure of bare knuckle? That's something I'm also kind of ignorant to. Like, are there multiple leagues? Is it like boxing where you
well,
guys
like
are
I
all kind
said,
of freelancers?
so
Like,
we had BKB.
right,
BKB is the originators, by
right.
the way. That's like Jim Freeman started that with Joe Brown. They've been going on for the last 15 years, but not low budget, but just not the budget to get them to that higher promotion. You know what I mean? It's all about money and who can invest, sponsorship, stuff like that. We bought in with them, so like now they own the BK, but they bought in with the rights to have the Trigon. So there's no more square. They used to fight in our smaller square ring. You know what I mean? Where now they're fighting in the Trigon with us. BKFC is the only competitor around with bare knuckle right now that has a different ring. So it's like,
Right.
okay, we have this trigon, you guys have that circle. At some point in time, if we want to make super fights, like I have a lot of people saying, do you want to fight Kai Stewart? Kai Stewart's the number one ranked at the 145. Of course, I want to fight Kai Stewart, but it's going to come down to my promoter talking to Dave Feldman and being like, hey, we got two of the number one guys in the super lightweight. Why can't we make this fight happen? You know what I mean? But it's like boxing. They're trying to kind of, I don't want to say watering it down, but you got Al Heyman not wanting to make agreements with fucking, any other promoter. And then you got him just sitting on his guys over here at his promotion in Showtime or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. It's going to come down to a point where Eddie Hearn's going to come shake Al Heyman's hand. You know what I mean? Or Dave Feldman, I guess vice versa. My promoter, Mike Vasquez, need to go shake Dave Feldman's hand. They got to have a talk. You know what I mean? And make the fights happen. I think there's a lot of good fights to be made. It's just right now we got a lot of top dogs at our promotion, a lot of top dogs at their promotion, and it's like, okay, so that's how you make super fights in my eyes. That's how you make these bigger fights. And down the line, I hope it happens. You know what I mean? I think it will bring more of an eye to it. So
What are the fights for you, Harry? What are the fights that kind of get you jazzed about the future of the sport?
for me right now,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd fight Paulie. I would. I love Paulie, but I'd fight Paulie. I'd go to 154 to fight Paulie. I'd just make sure that I had a good camp, and if we could come to an agreement, I'd fight Paulie Malignaggi. I'd fight Jamel Herring. I'd fight Kai Stewart. And the pink haired kid that just fought Estevan, that's who we're probably going to be fighting next. So, I mean, I'll fight anybody. Just make it worth my while. Like I said, if you give me a good contract and there's money involved and it reaches what I want, my limit of status, I think that there's a lot of fights to be made, and I'd love to fight people. You know what I mean? So I'm always open minded to the idea of fighting, at 154, 147, or 140, or even going to 135. So it's
What are
just
the weight class? The weight classes are a little different in bare knuckle. So what is the weight ceiling for junior featherweight for you guys?
so this is the
Or super
craziest thing.
featherweight.
This is the craziest thing. At BKB, we have boxing weight classes. At BKFC, they do more MMA style.
Gotcha.
So like their middleweights is like 175, I think,
Right.
where our middleweights is like a 154, like 155. So we got to change the dynamics. Like that people are confused. You know what I mean? And we
Well,
gotta
I
we
would say
gotta
then the difference between bare knuckle and say MMA or boxing is that there isn't a uniformity on the rules yet, right? There's sort of
yeah.
different variations between all the promoters or the organizations
The
that make it
promotion
difficult.
makes the rules. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Which I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be like this is bare knuckle fighting. This is a sport, and it's set right like this. Also, BKFC does 5 2-minute rounds. We do 5 3-minute rounds. We also, for world title fights, have 6 rounds for world title fights, and they do 5 2-minute rounds no matter what. So it's like, I don't know. I think that, and they also do sudden death. So like, if the fight comes to a draw and it's a championship for a championship at BKFC, they'll do a
Gotcha.
sudden death round. Well, I don't like that. I'm like, all right, it's cool, it's fun. Like I get and I get why they did it with Michael Venom Page and Mike Perry because it attracts people, it pulls people, and they're like, oh fuck, sudden death
Right.
round. But I like a sport where it's like, okay, we have the set rules. This is what it is. You're gonna fight for a world title. You're gonna fight 6 3-minute rounds, no matter what. You know what I mean? That's just how it needs to be. So I don't know. I think BKFC is more of a circus. I don't want to say circus. I think it just hasn't really. I think they're just trying to build a platform as whatever way they can, and they're trying to make fights. Obviously, it is an established sport. I'm not saying that they don't have rankings and stuff like that, but I just think that BKB has the rules set more matched to a boxing standard. You know what I mean? Like, okay, world title fights 6 3-minute rounds. Regular fights like that, sanctioned fights are 5 3-minute rounds. So it's just, I don't know. I think that BKB has more of an established with the rule set, but BKFC could change some things. So it's just they both got to come to an agreement. You know what I
Do you
mean? They
think that
both
they're
at some
maybe
point.
both kind of looking at each other a little bit and kind of going, that works, that doesn't really work, and so they're both going to kind of whittle it down, and then at some point they'll look a little more similar, if that makes sense?
So what I think is, I think David Feldman knows he has the bigger platform. I think he knows that he has the Prudential arenas and all those stuff that's going on. Where BKB is still kind of fighting out of, I don't want to say warehouses, but like you saw, like when I fought out in England, it was more of a smaller sanctioned area, not this big arena. I think that that's the only thing BKFC has over us is that, and I don't think they'll ever try to change their rule set. I think David Feldman is like, I'm going to do it my way. You guys can come on board, but we got, it's coming down to an ego. You know what I mean? Like Mike Vasquez is like, nah, I started working with the originators at BKB. We got everything figured out. The Trigon's where it's at. So it's a tug of war between like, okay, how are we going to sanction the rules when we have fucking this sport doesn't look officiated because we have two different promotions with two different rule sets. You know what I mean? It's just I want it to be more established. I mean, if I could do it differently and like be a promoter, I'd be like, listen, guys, let's just go back to a regular boxing ring for like tournaments and stuff like that when BKFC fights BKB, and you can have your Trigon at BKB, and you can have your circle at BKFC. But if we're gonna come down to anything and we're gonna originate anyway, or let's just go to an octagon,
Right.
let's try to meet halfway in the middle. You know what I mean? Type deal. So
It's cool being able to ask you all this shit, man, because I've been a traditional boxing guy my entire life. It was something the bare knuckle, I saw Paulie doing it. Still wasn't quite as evolved then. And
right.
literally just basically like your involvement in it has
Has made you like tune in and like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I
yeah.
wouldn't say I'm like, super knowledgeable yet, but I at least have an understanding and an awareness about what's going on in the sport and about and visually seeing it grow and seeing you guys kind of get
Well,
better.
you're an enthusiast, and you like to see things kind of where, like, I'm sure there was a point in time, and listen, I was the same way. You watch bare knuckle, you go, no chance this even becomes a thing. You know what I
Because
mean? Like,
there'd be like two UFC guys, and no disrespect to those guys, they're great at what they do, but in terms of
yeah,
throwing punches, they have
yeah,
an awkward, unorthodox, and I would argue
square style.
ineffective delivery. And so there'd just be like a lot of falling in, clinching, banging on the body, separate, fall in, clinch, bang on the body, separate. Nobody
Yeah,
to get their range and their distance. And then seeing Austin, I think Rigondeaux did a bare knuckle fight at one
he
point.
did. Yeah, he did. He did.
Like seeing guys that have an understanding of that range and start to
Was
really
Reagan? Yeah, he was
implement
a
a
Cuban. He was a Cuban champ.
yeah,
Yeah, he did
older.
do one fight. He did. He's old, very old. He fought with BKFC though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alberto Blas, that's who the guy who just came over from BKB. He's been killing it at BKFC. That's who they kind of been saying. He works with that dude. What's his name? Regan Durao?
Guillermo Rigondeaux. He was
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
one
know
of the
who he
best
is. Yeah.
amateurs of all time.
It's crazy that he was an Olympian, wasn't he too?
Two-time gold medalist. Him and Lomachenko, the only
Wow.
two-time gold
Wow.
medalists.
And the history. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was boxing until, into his 40s just because he really didn't get hit other than by Lomachenko. Nobody ever could really put a glove on him for the most part. He was kind of a wizard. And
I no,
nobody
I'm not
liked watching him, but I always liked watching him because I was just like, I know how hard it is to do what he's doing. If you're there
yeah.
for blood and guts, that's probably not your guy, but he was kind of a wizard.
I mean, as long as you can dig deep and show out, I think bare knuckle would be fit for him. You know what I mean? Obviously, but boxing, that's the thing with boxing. I think you can age out. You know what I mean? And bare knuckle, you got people like Yoel Romero coming in from the UFC, who was not really hanging with the new top dogs. Now he's killing it at bare knuckle. You know what I mean? He's going to
Right.
become a new face over here. I I think bare knuckle gives people that chance again. It sparks that fire again. You know what I mean? Where boxing kind of you age out and it's just done. You get used and abused. What's his name? Who fought Giravante? Got knocked out by him, and he fought everybody. The Cuban guy. What's his name? Gamboa.
Gamboa, right. He did fight Gamboa. I forgot about that.
Gamboa aged out and just kept taking fights against people as a B side. Obviously, great boxer, but clearly past his prime. Like it was
Yeah.
way past his prime. That was like one of those fighters I think could have came to bare knuckle if he just saw it like that and got paid and then retired with that with the face and bare knuckle kind of rising it up. That's someone that we could have brought over. You know what I mean? That's someone that should have came over here, and I think he would have been made a good establishment here. So it's like I tell most boxers that are like kind of aging out of the MMA game to come over here, man. Try it out, give it a go, and if you don't like it, then don't do it anymore. It's over. I think bare knuckle will give people that one last chance,
Right.
that one last shot,
Before you retire, make one final stop over here and see if you can
and
make
see
something
if you can
happen.
do it.
Yeah.
And if you're nasty at it, then stick around for a minute.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think bare knuckle will become something big soon. It's at that foundation start. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to figure out like MMA fighters came in and I gave that recognition of okay, clearly we're promoting more MMA fighters, more ex UFC fighters. I want it to become more boxing. I want it to be more stylistic. I want to see also maybe we could do an MMA versus boxing tournament like they did with Triad Combat. That would be
I
cool
think
too. You know what I
I think
mean?
that would be great promotionally too.
Yeah, dude. They got to just start switching things up and making it. All right, if we're gonna make it a circus like BKFC likes to do, let's make it fun. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
let's switch it up, switch up the styles.
Well, and make it obvious, hey, we're bringing two different fan bases together here. You know what I
Right,
mean? The boxing
right.
and the UFC fan base are inherently kind of two different fan bases that don't always overlap. Let's put them in the same room and go you versus you. I
You
think a lot
versus
of people
you.
fucking like that.
And I think a lot of people would say, okay, the MMA guys are going to win because of the clinching, and then you got okay more of the boxing style guys like me that know how to pop shot jabs, land more flush, and you're going to be like, all right, wait a second, it changes the dynamics here. When I fought Jacob Thrall and bare knuckle, a lot of people were like, okay, the MMA guy is going to be trying to rush forward and hit him with the heavier shots. I turned it. I tried to box though at first. I couldn't box. I had to start finding range differently. Like I said, that's when I figured out that you can't just fight like this. Tight high
Yeah.
guard, you're going to be more here. You know what I mean? Hit, catch, hit, shoot. You know what I mean? Stuff
Catching him
like
in
that.
midair, not on final
Midair,
impact.
parry
Yeah.
it, trying to get the fuck out and time off it. You know what I mean? It's bare knuckle fighting has that aspect. It's the same thing, except you get hit with a bare knuckle where triad combat you had MMA gloves on. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
in bare knuckle, if you get caught with a bare hand, it's like you're split up. If the ref doesn't like what he sees, he calls the doctor in. You have a bad cut. It's over. You know what I mean? That changes the dynamics right there.
Right.
So it's just bare knuckle fighting is such a catch and shoot sport. You know what I mean? It's becoming more technical. It's not just like I said, two trailer park guys clashing it out, banging it out. And I think if you give this sport at least 1 or 2 more years, and you have promotions come together and go, okay, let's do tournaments, let's do this and that. I think it will attract more of the boxing fans and more of the MMA fans. And I think that will become the sport will grow into something that I hope it becomes. You know what I mean? I hope it becomes a more officiated sport than what it is. And I mean at BKB, we have the right rule set. BKFC kind of needs to figure that out. I think that they could add 6 rounds for championship fights. I don't like that every single fight's 5 2-minute rounds. You know what I mean? I just don't.
Right.
I think that you need to give more of a standard to the people that actually are fighting for a world title. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be more of a step up. So it's just seeing where it is right now to where it could be. I think we got something here. Obviously, I wouldn't be committing myself and investing myself into the sport.
What would it take for you to go back to traditional boxing? Like, I know you've talked about, if it was a big fight and this and that, but being practical, like, what are the kinds of fights or the kinds of opportunities that could get you back into the square circle for the fans that kind of miss seeing you?
I mean, the Atoro got like an Atoro Gotti Mickey Ward fight, someone that they know that they can match my style with, a good clash, and a good payday. You know what I mean? That's all I really ever wanted in boxing was just a promoter to call me and go, listen, you and Campbell Hatton, R.I.P. Ricky, legend. But me and someone like Campbell Hatton never really had like a heavy amateur background. But like, yeah, we could give the fans a good clash. You know what I mean? Something like that. That would make me want to come back into boxing. A money fight that the fans will like a Mike Ohan fight. You know what I mean? Something like that. I'd rematch Mike Ohan for 50K right now, but I wouldn't want to leave because I believe that would lower my standards. I'm about to go make 25, 30K now on my next fight contract with BKB. So why would I want to cut myself short? You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
just it comes down to the money, I guess, and that sucks that it's like that. But you and I both know I can't fight for free. I can't fight forever. So I need to be able to start putting money away and investing in myself.
It's prize fighting, bro. It's prize
It's
fighting.
and it's either you become the guy that they use or you're going to become the guy that becomes their champion and they want to keep investing in. So boxing never really gave me that. They've kind of always gave me the standard of, okay, I'm boxing with used car dealership promoter who's trying to build me up to go send me off to fight Bang Williams. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Where Bare Knuckle was like, okay, we'll give you the opportunity to promote you, and we'll promote your story, we'll promote your name, we'll build you up, and we'll give you a world title shot. Boxing, I don't think would have ever gave me that. So it's just two sides to it. You know what I mean? A good platform in boxing, though, sees someone like me, a very, you know, fun, energetic fighter that's going to bring a good fan fight. You know what I mean? Like that. And they see me one day, like Dana White wants to start doing that, I heard, and they'll give me a Mike Ohan or something like that. Kevin Walsh, Johnny DePina, things like that. Johnny DePina is my sparring partner, but yeah, if me and Johnny both got a call to go fight each other for 50 to 100K, I guarantee you, me and him would both be like, yeah, we'll fight each other. Yeah. And we'll give the fans a good clash.
I'll tell you the platform I would love to see you on at some point. I don't know if it's ever come across your desk, quote unquote, but Pro Box TV, man, they do these great 50-50 fights. They're on YouTube. They're easily accessible
Time
for
out. Pro
fans.
Box Pro Box uses the same platform and the same media production as my bare knuckle promotion.
Right.
So when I fought in Tampa, like Big Mo is, I think their announcer and stuff like that. Paulie does the commentating. So I actually talked to Big Mo. I was like, he's like, yo, we could get you on a Pro Box show at some point. And I was like, I'd look into that. I would definitely do that. But the thing is I know they do a lot of free promoting on YouTube and stuff like that. I don't know if you have to be someone signed to their promotion in order to make money, from what I see. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. If they wanted to build me up, bring me on board and kind of build me up to fighting one of their guys and give me a good payday, I would do it. Yeah, I would do that. It's just going to come down to money. I hate to say
And
it
I
like
and I
that.
think all in, Harry, again, 2 years ago, you took the risk, man. You took the risk. I'm going to take the risk on me. I'm going to try this thing out, and it's working out. And it's very obvious that you're exactly where the fuck you're supposed to be right now, bro.
Exactly. Fate has picked me to be a bare knuckle fighter. I love bare knuckle fighting. Like I said, I hope it becomes more officiated. I hope that they can establish more of the rule sets, and make this sport combined with, obviously BKFC and BKB making an agreement. But I wouldn't want to change this. You know what I mean? I like where I'm at, and I think this is the most suitable for my style, and I think that it gives me the platform to introduce myself. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I love doing what I do. So
Yeah.
I did it for my grandfather. Big shout out to my papa. You know what I mean? That's a big person that I aspire to be one day. He was the rise in my family. He fought in the chain gangs back in 1952 and shit like that. Like that was crazy shit. Like where jail guards are making them just fight with no weight classes and shit like that, and then just establishing boxing into my family, my roots, and that's what made me who I am. So
Well,
I
shit,
I
man.
I, I love this shit. You know what I mean? I live for it.
Yeah, it truly has been incredible to watch you on this journey, dude. Like it's been so much fun. I didn't, because the sport itself hadn't been established. I had no idea where you could go with it or where all of it was going. And every time you went out there, you had an explosive win, you had an explosive performance,
Insane.
and you were getting, and the thing was, you were getting people's attention in a way that I don't think a lot of other bare knuckle fighters have been able to do outside of like
I
an insular hardcore fan base.
Right. I think that I've established my fan base as a bare knuckle fighter, where in boxing I didn't. I had like a local fan base, but not the limelight that I'm getting in bare knuckle. I have people commenting like, this kid looks like he belongs in the sport with the hard part and the traditional bare knuckle look. And now it's like, okay, also John L. Sullivan, Boston. I'm from 40 minutes from Boston. I'm carrying something that has been around for since the 1800, I think 1882. You know what I mean? It's like this is this is where I wanted to be. This is my circle. This is I've made my platform in bare knuckle fighting, and I've become the star. You know what I mean? And that's what I always wanted in my fight career, is just to be a face in the promotion, share my story. I have a 4 generations of boxing. You know what I mean? And it's something that I carry with me, and I wasn't ready to hang it up in boxing, but sadly, boxing didn't want to promote me as much as I wanted to get promoted, and bare knuckle gave me that opportunity.
That would have been such a fucking shame if you did that, bro. Especially after that fight, which was like truly like a New England classic, in terms of the
I thought it should have been on ESPN. Back in the day, ESPN fights would have had that fight. And,
That's the other
it's
thing
just,
that makes me think that you're definitely in the right place because bare knuckle is growing, and we don't have to get into all the details, but it feels like
yeah,
the business of traditional boxing is in a transition right now, and particularly for young U.S. fighters, it seems
yeah,
like there's less opportunities than there were a couple of years ago. A lot of those
absolutely.
opportunities are going overseas. A lot of the, like Top Rank doesn't have a streaming deal right now.
Saudi
You know?
Arabia over there, they're grabbing a lot of the fight deals and stuff like that.
Yep.
I heard Dana, though, I did hear that Dana White wants to invest in people that aren't like at the top shark level of boxing. Like, you're not a top 10 guy. Okay. Well, how can we make a fun fight out of it? You know what I mean? Where I hope boxing starts doing that, like the Friday night fights like they used to. You said Pro Box does that. I know they do. But the thing is they're trying to still establish their fighters. They're still watering it down in a way. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna build these guys up, and these guys get paid X amount, but we're not promoting them. We're gonna promote these guys. I think that I could build a big enough name in bare knuckle where I could use my name and my resources as someone that could come back to boxing. And I don't want to say misfit boxing because I like to fight I want to fight a real boxer. I don't want to fight a YouTuber, but I think I could use my name as a marketing sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And promote that. So that's where I want to be at some point. Yeah. I would love to come back to boxing. It's where I started. But right now, I'm exactly where I need to be
Yeah.
in bare knuckle fighting.
One this is a random one. Unfortunately, I probably need to wrap it up in like 10 minutes,
It's
which
fine, brother.
sucks. Which sucks. But
We can do this again in 3 months.
which we will. I think
Yeah.
we'll make a quarterly tradition out of this. I think that's a good plan.
I'd love that, brother. It's
Um,
always good to talk to you, my man.
for
For
real.
real.
One of the good guys in boxing, Harry.
I appreciate that,
Um,
brother. Thank you.
Tiger Johnson got a real big boy fight coming up, and he's taking it on a guy named Nicholas Flaz, who beat
Okay.
Jahai Tucker a few years ago.
Wow.
He's been scoring a lot of upsets, and at this point, he's a top 10 welterweight. Tiger, since he fought you, it's been a little up and down, right? Like he's had
Yeah.
fights where he looks sensational, and then he's had fights where he looks like he's just not
Is
entirely
he
switched
chinny?
on.
He's a little chinny looking, too. I've seen him get wobbled.
Yeah, I don't even when I watch him, I don't know if I would say it's chinny, but it's almost like he's a little flimsy. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
never all got
Not full
solidified.
balance. Yeah, something. He's missing the final piece. He
Right.
really is.
Right,
Yeah.
because all the talent's there, right? We've seen it in multiple fights of his that or he's got all the fucking ability in the world, but it's
Deshaun Davis is the only one out of that whole group that's going to, I think, install his amateur background into being who he is as a pro. Abdullah Mason's been dropped. I think he's going to meet his match at some point, too. I think Abdullah Mason's great. He's a heavy hitter. I think one of the only thing that saves him against someone in the top five is that he has power.
yeah.
I,
I
I, I think that he'll come across someone at some point where he's like, whoa, too much. I
I
bit
think
too much
my
off.
where I get optimistic about Abdullah is how young he is. Because I've met the kid, I've interviewed him a couple of times, and
Yeah,
it's like
humble kid. He's humble,
you're
right?
talking to him and he's like a grown ass man, bro. You forget that you're talking to like a 19-year-old kid
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
he's so poised, he's so comfortable
Humble.
with the
Yeah.
moment. And so while I watch him and like you said, he got dropped that one fight, he's had some moments of
Questionable, questionable
vulnerability.
matchups.
But
Yeah.
when I meet him in person, then when I watch him, I realize how old he is. There's a lot of growth potential.
So they just got to invest in him correctly.
Yeah.
Tiger Johnson's getting to that point where the age just, he's got to go. Time to go. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Well,
I mean,
this is the fight, I think. I think the fact that he's taken on Flaws, who's
when is
got
this?
Mhm.
When is this fight? When is this fight?
That's a good question. Let's take a look. Let's do a little box
Because
rate research.
I try to tune into Tiger as much as I can. They still use my highlights. I get pissed. I'm like, dude, I'm a bare knuckle champ now. What the fuck? Come
I
fight me
know.
in bare knuckle, bro. What the fuck?
Well, maybe that'll happen one of these days. That'd
maybe,
be cool.
maybe. Bang
So
Williams might come over. Hey,
that
whoa,
fight
Bang. Time out. I didn't want to say this. Bang Williams might come over.
is that actually true? Is he thinking about
He saw the Trigon and was like, I'm thinking about doing this. Like he called a couple people that work in the promotions, like, this looks cool. And then they were like, well, your guy Harry Gigliotti's fighting,
it?
and he's a champ.
Interesting.
And he was like, So they might do. They've been doing Trigon Combat. I think more of a spit at triad, but they're doing MMA gloves, and I guess he wants to do an MMA glove fight. So maybe I'll go over and do an MMA glove fight in the Trigon against them, just for like, just to promote. You know what I mean? Just to promote it.
I think that could be very interesting. The Tiger fight, he's going to be fighting Nicholas Flores on Pro Box TV on November 7th.
It's not
Uh,
even with top. It's not with Top Rank.
no, man, because Top Rank doesn't
Wow.
have a broadcast deal. They let the
Wow.
ESPN contract expire, and they haven't. I think that was in July, and they've yet to
Oh.
re-sign anything, which has honestly been surprising to me. I know, you know, over the last couple of years with some of the transitions in the sport, they
Yeah.
don't have as many big stars, but there's still
Yeah.
there's that stable of, Keyshawn Davis and Troy Isley and
They've
Ty.
got all the Olympians. Yeah.
What I'm saying, like, there would, if you wanted to create a market for it, it's like we're the future of boxing. Everyone else, they're the present, we're the future. That would be how
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
do it. And I'm just surprised that whether it's TNT or it's DAZN or it's
Yeah.
Prime, that nobody's
I
said,
think
you want to scoop that up.
I think Day Zone and Matchroom is always gonna be the highest. You know what I mean? Of the I think Eddie does a phenomenal job of promoting fights. I can't even believe we didn't get into to the Terrence Crawford Canelo. I'm surprised you didn't even mention it once. But that was what was that, something Fury, whatever, that was Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was on Netflix. Let's
So
let's
now,
close out with that. Let's close out with
yeah,
that. That's a
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
topic to finish with.
I put $100 on Canelo. I put 100, and I regret it, obviously. And Terrence fought a masterclass fight, man. The inside combinations, leaving the outside, still touching off it and working off the combinations and finding his range again. He made Canelo look like a sub novice. He
Yeah,
was moving forward and couldn't hit him, couldn't touch him. So it was like,
yeah.
I thought from my perspective, I thought it was going to be like Caleb Plant. I thought that Terrence
Mhm.
was going to get broken down, try to play the shoulder roll, catch a little bit, shoot a little bit, but Canelo was going to start figuring him out in those later rounds, was going to drown him. Dude, boy, was I in for it. Like, I couldn't believe when he was landing those flush combos, when it hit like the eighth round, I was like, there's no way. Terrence is battering him. Like, he's
Yeah.
battering him up right now. I was mind blown. And I can tell you this right now, my pound for pound greatest of this generation is Terrence Crawford.
It's a tough art, that I feel like the only people that you could make the argument for, it's like him and Usyk. And I think
Usyk is great. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but different weight classes, different styles.
But I also
Like
think they've had to at this point now overcome size differences, right? Like Terrence moved up 20 pounds to take on
stepping up.
Canelo,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Usyk is taking on Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, these guys that are like NBA power forwards, that
Tall
outweigh them
motherfuckers.
by 40
Yeah.
pounds. They both had to this is what part of what makes both of them great to me is they've had to win where not everything was in their favor. Right, a lot of times the big stars in the sport they have everything their way. Usyk's doing it on the road. Terrence is doing it moving up
Coming for it.
weight classes.
Going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Dude,
not being tailored to.
the craziest thing is and I listen, because I always take my boxing insight from you. I like to listen to you. I like to dissect because you're the guy. I look at you as I like to follow up with you. You told me who Terrence Crawford was when I didn't know who he was. And that's like one of those people. And then I started paying attention to him. Then he beats Earl Spence. I'm like, all right, this is a hidden gem right now. And this guy really kind of, didn't have the Olympic background, the promoting side of that, but kind of just climbed out of the gutter and just kept
Yeah.
climbing and climbing and climbing. And climbs into a fight with Canelo and completely embarrasses him. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
And
This is
listen, I
where
thought Canelo was doing good body work early. He had good foot pressure. He was pretty good defensively.
well, he was
Like I
trying to
felt
punch
like,
his arm. He was trying to punch his
yeah.
arms out.
And I felt
And
like
Terrence
Canelo
just
showed up
wasn't,
sharp.
dude. Terrence is one of the most complete boxers I've ever seen. All right, timeout. Jaron Ennis. I know he hasn't fought anyone yet. Looks like a Floyd Mayweather right now. I think he's got a stylistic, very stylistic
He
like
looks
Floyd.
incredible, man. I thought he looked great. He got that first round knockout. It's tough to gauge like what do you get from a first round
Do you
knockout like
think
that, but
Jaron and Terrence is a fight to be made down the line?
I don't know. I For starters, we have to see if Terrence fights again. I think that's
Yeah,
still a little bit up for
I
debate. If
know.
he,
I've heard that.
38 years old, kind of
Dude,
been
retire.
done
I would
that.
retire. Retire where you're at.
Then the
Yeah.
question would be, what's the weight? Because now Terrence has come up to 168. Geron, Boots is just getting comfortable at 154. Where would they
Yep.
now? Do I think it would be a great fight? And do I think a lot of people would watch? Hell yeah. But to me, I would think that Terrence, after fighting Canelo, gotten that big, you
Yep.
don't want to do what Roy Jones did after the John Ruiz fight and
And
kill
just start
getting
fucking
down to that
breaking
lower weight.
and ruining your history of who you were. Yeah. Yeah.
Because people always forget he went up to heavyweight to fight John Ruiz. He dominated John Ruiz, and then he cut his body back down to light heavyweight, and he was never the same. He was
Oh.
never the same. And so
I
I
feel like
wonder.
it ruins the stock of who you are as outside of the retirement. You know what I mean too? Because
Yeah,
you see the losses, you see the risk, but retiring at that with a perfect record and stuff like that, I think that brings the credibility of he's the greatest pound for pound. You know what I mean? Now you can say that.
yeah, yeah. I think interestingly, I think at some point him and Canelo might rematch. I don't think that there's going to be another fight that comes with the check
Yeah,
that fight comes with, and I do think that um, Canelo's a great fighter himself, and he'll make adjustments, and he'll do things that will force Terrence to adjust. And
I'm sure Canelo is going to come back with everything he's got. This is and it's probably his last fight. If they're going to do one more, I'm sure they're both kind of looking at like. I
sure,
mean, let's be honest. They're both aging out. It is what it is. They look great for their age, but they're both aging out. I think why not both give it one more go to retire on top as both the two. I think Canelo will always be one of my pound for pound favorites. You know what I mean? He's fought. I mean, going to step up to fight Bivol and stuff like that. I'm glad he never fought. I remember there was times where he wanted to fight Usyk. Remember he was thinking about doing it. Thank God he
wild
didn't,
man,
dude. Thank God he
wild man.
didn't. Thank God he didn't. But I think Canelo will always go down because he took that challenge. He did step up. He did try to go to what was it, cruiserweight?
Yeah, he was thinking about it. They did the press conference with Makabu, who was a cruiserweight titleist at the time, and I think they were trying to feel out like how does the
To
internet
see if he
react to
could
this.
to make it happen. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he's a
I'm
fucking
glad.
nut and he's a competitor. And I'm sure, if the right amount of money was put in front of him to go up and fight Zordo Ramirez
Why
for
not? Yeah.
Mexican greatness, that
Yeah.
it wouldn't be too hard of a sell.
Right, right. And it gives that guy the name to promote. You know what I mean? It gives
Yeah.
the Mexican clash. It builds him. Canelo says he doesn't like fighting Mexicans. I think that was kind of a stir away from fighting David Benavidez. I don't think he really ever wanted to fight that.
Yeah.
I don't. I know. I know. I know.
It's the
And that
stain on
one.
his resume, man. It is the
That one.
stain.
That one hurt you because you always wanted to kind of see if that would be the clash. David Benavidez is also going to go down. I think is one of the pound for pound greats. I mean, there's not really. He's to the shoe shine, the power, the movement, being able to kind of withstand power, his opponent's power and stuff like that. I thought Caleb Plant was outclassing him, and out of nowhere, he just starts breaking him down in the later rounds. He gives you that. He gives you that Mickey Ward plot style where like he'll kind of sit there in the pocket and take shots, but then out of nowhere just start hitting you with
Yeah.
fucking everything he has in the basket. It's like David Benavidez, I think, goes down as one of my pound for pounds right now.
I think he will too. The issue for David is going to be like for Terrence was for a lot of his career. He's going to have a hard time getting big names to get in the ring with him because of how
Yep.
dangerous he is. And because there's always going to be a guy that's like a bigger name that's got a bigger fucking mouth or whatever.
Right.
There's always going to be
Yeah.
somebody that they could go, nah, I'd rather do that.
Let's
And
do
so
that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so David's going to have to do what guys like Terrence did and guys like Vernon Forrest did and guys who were avoided is that when that big moment
Just
finally comes,
climb. Keep climbing.
right, you got to separate. Like nobody wanted to fight Vernon Forrest, bro. And then they put him in with Shane Mosley and everybody thought Shane was going to win and Vernon dominated
Rip
twice.
them apart. Yeah.
And then again, a lot of people didn't want to fight him after that. But same with Terrence. He was avoided by every major welterweight in the division. He dominates Errol Spence when he finally gets the opportunity.
Dude,
Can't
I
get
mean,
anybody at 154,
belt
really.
belt to ass. belt
Right.
to ass style. Yeah,
So it's
literally.
going to come down to capitalizing on the moments that you get for David, and I think he will.
Promotion, grabbing onto it at the right time when you build your name at the right time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Something along the lines of that. But I like where boxing's heading. I do, and I thought that it was cool to see Ryan also fight Rolly. I didn't think that that's how that was going to end. You know what I mean? I didn't think that. I mean, I some would say that was the most boring card in the history of boxing right now. I still see
It's
though,
kind of a
you
tough
know,
hang.
but I still see two boxers that are trying to step up now. I see people that are trying to take risks. Boxing is not as it it's a watered down sport that isn't as watered down now. You know what I mean? People are starting to take more risks now. So I can see it kind of going in that path where people are taking more risk and there's going to be more reward for it if they make these fights keep happening. You know what I mean?
Well, we can only hope, bro. Listen, this has been so fun, dude. We haven't gotten to do this in a couple of years, and we'll make a more regular habit out of it. But
Absolutely, brother.
as is
Check in with
tradition,
me. Check in with me always. For real.
as is tradition, I like to let you guys, the fighters, shout out whoever you want to shout out. So, who are some of the people you want to shout out before we wrap it up?
My big brother right now. He's been kind of through the highs and the lows. My big brother always supports me, and he's my manager. I took him under my wing as manager when I came over to bare knuckle. I needed to have someone that could talk for me. I like to do my fighting. I needed someone that wants to do the talking. My brother negotiates for me, talks for me, speaks for me. That's my advocate. I love my big brother Dougie, and my grandfather, my mom, my dad, my sponsors. I just got sponsored $1,000 with my buddy Nick Mello. He's got a plumbing company, MPS. They're kind of on the rise right now. I got Zach Morrison with Morrison HVAC, Goat City Transportation, all my sponsors, man. Just the people that Shug High. Shug High gave me a bunch of new cannabinoid stuff. I got some THC products. Got to keep your brain right. Make sure the inflammation's down. I've been using a lot of Delta 8 and CBD. Recovery, just making sure that you keep yourself right. This is a tough sport. My sponsors, man, the people that support me. That's who I love, and my family, my girlfriend Sarah, my people,
Shout out the family. Shout out the sponsors. Shout out
and my
Sarah. Shout out
promotion,
everybody.
my promotion at BKB.
Harry Gigliotti, folks. Appreciate you, my friend. We'll talk soon. All
Yes,
right.
sir, my guy. Love you, brother.